All right, everyone. So we've got another video here from Diagonite, and this one was the one that was requested. If you saw the video that I posted before this, I mentioned there that this is the video that I was requested to react to, but I watched that one first because I wanted to get a sense of the kind of content that he makes here on this channel. And I've seen some other videos that he made, and I think that I am going to react to them because I'm really curious to see his thoughts on those topics specifically, and we'll get to them. Hopefully you'll see them after this video goes out. This one is called Ranking the Akatsuki from Weakest to Strongest. Now, we've seen other videos from other content creators about, where they actually rank the Akatsuki in terms of strength from the weakest to the strongest. I mean, the strongest has always been a debate between Pain, Obito. Some of them I think throw Madara in there, although technically Madara was never really a member of the Akatsuki. He died, and then of course Obito went on to convince Nagato and the others to form the Akatsuki. So like it's debatable as to whether or not he is a member of the Akatsuki or not. But if he is, then a lot of people will put him above Obito and Pain, and then of course people put Itachi up there. And Itachi I do think is strong, but me personally, I don't think that he would have done that good of a job against Pain. That's just my opinion, of course. I just think that the versatility of Pain's abilities just make him a really difficult opponent to deal with. But not saying that Itachi wouldn't put up a good fight. I think he definitely would. But that's just me. We'll go ahead and see what Diagonite thinks of this. But before we get into the video, as always, I do have to ask you that if you want to show your support for the channel, if you enjoy what I do here, consider leaving a like, sharing this video out there, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and comment down below with whatever your thoughts are. Who do you think is the weakest? Who do you think is the strongest among the Akatsuki? Do you consider Madara to be a member or not? Or whatever your thoughts are, just let me know all of them in the comments. All those things go a long way in helping any video out with the YouTube algorithm. It helps push it out there to more people, and also watching the video all the way to the end does indeed also help out help get it out to more people. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, and let's go ahead and watch this video.
Today we're gonna be ranking the Akatsuki in terms of strength, and I know everyone and their aunts have done a video like this on YouTube, but this is actually gonna be the correct way of ranking the Akatsuki, and not the incorrect way you're gonna see around YouTube. Now, all jokes aside, subscribe to this channel if you enjoy this type of content, and let me just remind you that this isn't necessarily a list of who would win against every other member of the Akatsuki, and more of an overall strength analysis. Also, no filler characters. I'm just going to be ranking the 10 core members in Shippuden because that's the Akatsuki as far as I'm concerned. Number 10, the weakest member of the Akatsuki is Hidan. It's very simple, really. He says it himself that he is the slowest member of the Akatsuki. His moves are not very elaborate. Yeah. He is also the stupidest member of the Akatsuki, and being dumb in a Naruto battle isn't something that's going to help him out quite a lot. He's also very much a one-trick pony. He has one jutsu. Granted, it is a very powerful jutsu. If you get caught in it, you die. But if you know how to avoid the jutsu, it's pretty easy to handle. Also, the jutsu itself has some very specific requirements that may be difficult to attain in the middle of a fight. And any ninja with a mid-tier defensive jutsu would be able to absolutely negate Hidan's attacks, and therefore he wouldn't be able to draw any blood. Hidan lost to Team Asuma when he was fighting with Shikamaru and Izumo and Kotetsu, and then Kakuzu had to come in and just assemble him back together essentially, and they didn't really have intel in that fight, so it's not as though it's impossible to deal with Hidan's jutsu. And then he was soloed by Shikamaru in a pretty spectacular fashion, and sure that Shikamaru had prep time, but yeah, Shikamaru isn't beating anyone else in the Akatsuki with all the prep time in the world. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. And a lot of people people are gonna say, no, it's Zetsu. Zetsu's the weakest member of the Akatsuki. But let's be real here. Zetsu destroys Hidan any day of the week. And I'm gonna get to Zetsu. Alright, now let's get to number 9. Kakuzu. Yes, Kakuzu is the second weakest member of the Akatsuki. And many of you may be very angry right now because I am spitting facts here. And by the way, even though Kakuzu is the second weakest member of the Akatsuki, he is leagues above Hidan. So this is a pretty substantial...
I will say this. Okay, so I don't know where he's gonna put Zetsu above this, or where he's gonna put Zetsu on this list. Excuse me. But no, I would put Zetsu below Hidan and Kakuzu. Again, I'll wait to hear his reasons for why he has Zetsu above Hidan and Kakuzu. But in my opinion, Zetsu can't do anything against Kakuzu, at least. Like, you cannot tell me that he'll be able to fight him. Even if he may have knowledge of Kakuzu, his abilities, and, you know, his multiple hearts and what he can do, I don't think Zetsu can do anything against Kakuzu. Like, we've established, I think, especially in the Boruto series, that you know, even if you know how an enemy's abilities work, it doesn't really matter if you don't have the power to be able to do anything against it. Like, take the battle against or the fight between, like, what is it, Naruto and Sasuke against Jigen, right? Later on, they had knowledge of all of his abilities, like what he can do and all that. Or I guess specifically you could say the battle against Ishiki, not Jigen, because they are two different characters. Even if they knew his abilities, like how it works, especially his dojutsu, what it could do, it didn't matter, because he still had the power to be able to fight against him. Like, they didn't have the power to be able to compete against him. That's the problem. It's like, you know, hell, even Ishiki himself said, like, knowing my abilities and what it could do doesn't matter. You still won't be able to do anything against me. So I think that in this case, even if Zetsu knows about Hidan's abilities and Kakuzu's abilities, I don't think he'd be able to do anything against him. I don't think he'd be able to do anything against it, because he doesn't have the power to be able to do anything. But that's just my thoughts.
Initial jump in strength from the 10th to the 9th place anyway, but among everyone else, Kakuzu is the weakest. He has a powerful defensive jutsu in the stone skin, which can be countered by lightning style and just powerful jutsus such as the Rasen Shuriken. He has 5 lives, which is something good for him, but we see that they can be taken out rather quickly, and he seems to be better than Kakashi at taijutsu. And a lot of people cite that fight against Kakashi as a magnificent feat, but beginning of Shippuden, Kakashi wasn't exactly the peak of his strength. Quite the opposite, in fact. Also, it wasn't as though that fight was very fair. For a decent portion of the battle, Kakuzu had Hidan's help while he was fighting against Kakashi, and Kakashi was essentially protecting Ino and Choji, who were just completely useless in the fight. So he had some disadvantages in that fight, and Kakuzu wasn't really destroying Kakashi. Granted, he would have beaten Kakashi if Shikamaru didn't destroy one of his hearts through the little plan with Hidan's blood, but Kakashi even states that he didn't use his Mangekyo, and he would have used if Naruto and the reinforcements didn't arrive, and I'm pretty sure he would have beaten Kakuzu with Kamui. Can't really counter that. There's absolutely no way he can do anything against Kamui. And let's talk about Kakuzu's offensive jutsus. Well, they're just basic elemental jutsus, which are powerful, don't get me wrong, but if you want to go above a certain tier of strength in the Naruto-verse, you need more than that, and everyone else in the Akatsuki has more powerful jutsus than just simple elemental jutsus. Yes, he has all of the elements, but so what? Kakashi has all of them as well. Sarutobi has all of them as well, and he's much more powerful. It's not like having every single nature transformation is gonna make you a god. But the worst thing about Kakuzu, and this is really the reason why I'm putting him in second to last place here, is because he got blitzed by beginning of Shippuden Naruto twice. 2 times in a row, Naruto was able to blitz Kakuzu with the Rasen Shuriken, and it wasn't very difficult to see Naruto coming. Naruto used 3 shadow clones clones to distract Kakuzu before he blitzed him with the Rasen Shuriken twice, that Naruto had a very small QB out that's practically negligible, and he doesn't have Sage Mode or anything else. That Naruto isn't very powerful aside from the Rasen Shuriken itself, which anyone else in the Akatsuki except for Hidan would easily be able to dodge. And Kakuzu failed to do so twice. The first, the Rasen Shuriken fizzled out because Naruto wasn't practiced at it, and then the second one hit and defeated Kakuzu. And I see every other Akatsuki member here, aside from Hidan, doing much better in that fight. And you can argue that Kakuzu was starred and all that, but it was actually said that Kakuzu powered up when he fused the wind and the fire hearts within himself. Of course, people are gonna come and tell me that, oh man, he fought the Two Tails. Wow, he fought the Two Tails. 12-year-old Naruto fought the One Tail and won. Whoa, that's such a great feat. He fought the Two Tails. Number 8, Zetsu. And I'm referring to the Zetsu that was in the Akatsuki, the original black and white Zetsu. So when we discuss Zetsu's strengths, we have to take into account the powers from both the black and the white Zetsus. And most people forget the Zetsu powers, which are not weak at all actually. Black Zetsu during the work, the same Black Zetsu that's been throughout the entire Shippuden era, was able to keep up with Mei, the 5th Mizukage, her guard of 20 or so Jonins, and then a KCM Naruto clone arrived and Black Zetsu was still keeping up with them. He even tripped KCM-1 Naruto and he missed the Rasen Shuriken. And we know how fast KCM-1 is. It was relative to the 4th Raikage, which was the fastest shinobi alive at the time. Black Zetsu was then only defeated by Chojuro extending his sword or whatever, and he wasn't even killed. He was able to get away. Also, Black Zetsu has wood style and a pretty powerful wood style, which is
I do want to say this on his comment about, you know, Naruto being able to, like, or Zetsu being able to trip up Naruto and KCM-1, who was able to, you know, speed blitz the, or maybe speed blitz isn't the, he was able to surpass the Raikage speed, who was the best at the time. I will say that he did mention that it was a clone, like one of the many clones that Naruto made that he sent all throughout the battlefield to go help out, you know, the other members of the Shinobi Alliance. So technically that wasn't the same Naruto that blitzed the, or blitz isn't the right word, the same Naruto who was able to move faster than the Raikage. Like, this was the original Naruto, no clone, so his power wasn't split among all the clones, because remember, when you make clones, your power is split evenly among all of them. So just because you were able to beat one clone, that doesn't mean that you're able to take on the original. You know what I mean? Because the original will have all of the power of the original, as opposed to it being split evenly among the clones. I mean, that's why, I think that's why the Shadow Clone Jutsu was considered a forbidden jutsu for a long time, because, you know, first of all, not everyone had the chakra reserves to be able to actually perform the ability, and even if you did, it's kind of a dangerous ability, because again, you're splitting your power evenly among all the clones. So even though there are advantages, there's also disadvantages, because you're kind of weakening yourself, especially if you make multiple Shadow Clones. So yeah, technically being able to trip up a clone of Naruto, I mean, it's impressive, don't get me wrong, but it's not, I don't think it's as impressive as he is making it out to be. And I don't think there's any correlation. Like, just because he was able to do that to the clone, I don't think he'll be able to do it to the original, is essentially what I'm trying to say. So just wanted to make a comment on that.
Whatever, and he wasn't even killed, he was able to get away. Also, Black Zetsu has wood style and a pretty powerful wood style, which is why he was able to deal with so many ninjas at the same time, and powerful ninjas at that. Can you imagine Kakuzu trying to do that? Mei was just gonna melt him like she was melting Sasuke Susanoo, and she couldn't do much against Black Zetsu. White Zetsu, the original White Zetsu, the one that was fused with Black Zetsu for like half of the entire show, he also has some very interesting powers that people just forget for some reason. ways. Of course that the white Zetsus that fought in the war weren't very powerful, but the original had the spore power, that one he used in the 5 Kage summit, that no one in the entire summit, no one could detect that. And that's a very strong jutsu. It drains the chakra from the target and you can put it back on someone else. White Zetsu can also transform into other people, which is pretty good, especially his transformation that mimics the chakra. So you can't even tell him apart from the real person because the chakra is the same. So Naruto has to come with the bullshit power of good and whatever and feel the hatred in Zetsu, which is a little bit of an asshole, but that's how it works. Zetsu is pretty powerful, man. You shouldn't downplay Zetsu. And if you want to say, oh, he destroyed Madara and Deidara was killed by Zetsu. Come on.
Let's
do you want to
not.
put Zetsu in first place because of that? Feel free, but you don't have my respect. Number 7.
You're not gonna have the respect of anyone in the Naruto fandom because that's, you know, people in the Naruto fandom will argue about a lot of things, but that's one of the very few things that everyone pretty much unanimously agrees was absolute bullshit. Pretty much everyone agrees about that.
Sasori of the Red Sand. And yeah, sure, a lot of people are gonna get mad with me because I'm putting Sasori in number 7, but it's the reality. And let me explain why. Sasori is a somewhat limited ninja. He doesn't have a very powerful attack. The most dangerous thing he has is his poison, which is very deadly, but it's not the hardest thing for you to counter. Sakura was able to counter the cloud of poison with a paper bomb. Granted, if Sasori hits anyone with a poison, they're probably gone, and if you don't have an antidote like Sakura had in the fight. I can easily see everyone else on this list that's above him being able to dodge that jutsu, and high-level shinobis being able to dodge the poison as well. He has the 3rd Kazekage puppet, which has the iron sand, a pretty powerful jutsu, but it's definitely not as strong as the original when the 3rd Kazekage was actually alive. There's just no way it's as powerful because we can clearly see that Gaara's sand in the same arc is 20 times more powerful than the iron sand. Sakura is able to shrug off the iron sand kinda easily. She's just punching away at the iron blocks and all that, and Sakura in the beginning of Shippuden, sure, she's not weak, but she's definitely not a powerhouse by any means. She is able to one-shot every single puppet she touches. She one-shots the Hiruko puppet, she one-shots the 3rd Kazekage puppet, she one-shots Sasori himself puppet, and all the others that Sasori throws against her during the summoning of the 100 puppets. And you can say, yeah, sure, man, but Sakura is very strong, and that's not a lie.
Yeah,
she is powerful, but honestly, everyone else on this list has more firepower than Sakura has, and they would easily be able to destroy the puppets as well. And Sakura isn't exactly very fast. And sure, for most of that fight, Shio was actually manipulating her with her chakra threads, but there are some moments in the fight that Sakura is just fighting by herself, and she is relative to Sasori's speed, and Sakura is not a speedster whatsoever. And I'm not trying to say that Sasori is weak, he's definitely strong, he's definitely Kage level. The only Akatsuki member that's not Kage level is Hidan, but Sasori's just not as powerful as the others on this list. And for those of you who are saying now that Deidara told everyone that Sasori was more powerful than him, this is just kind of disingenuous by Deidara because it's a flat out lie, and it's very much proven by feats. Any basic Deidara bomb could one-shot any Sasori puppet just by comparing the blasts with the punches Sakura's throwing. They're pretty equivalent to the weakest Deidara bombs. And if he tries the stronger bombs like C3 that he used against the Sand Village, he's destroying every single puppet in Sasori's arsenal.
At the same time,
if you want to see a more in-depth Deidara versus Sasori fight, I've made an entire video about it, and the link's going to be in the description below if you're interested. Number 6.
So, okay, first of all, if you guys do want me to, you know, watch and react to that, just let me know about it in the comments. But yeah, okay, so on his his reasonings for why Sasori is here and, you know, below Deidara, despite the fact that, you know, Deidara literally just outright says that Sasori's stronger than him. And now, granted, you could make the argument that maybe that was just Sasori, you know, just, you know, screwing around with Naruto and Kakashi, that he was just trying to get into their heads and make them more worried about Sakura and Chio, who were left behind with Sasori. It is possible, of course, it is within his character to do that. I don't have a problem believing that, but at the same time, it could be him just outright telling them the truth because, well, think about it. I mean, if he is saying that and he's like betting on them thinking that he's just messing with them, that could also be a way to, you know, sort of mess with their mental state. Because remember, in the Naruto universe, if you're going to go into a fight, you need to be there both mentally and physically, because we've seen before that, you know, when a character isn't there, you know, mentally, it completely affects their ability to perform in a fight. Like, for example, look at what happened in the fourth Shinobi War, after Minato discovered that Obito was the one, you know, behind the mask, that Obito was the one who essentially, like, you know, threw the nine tails at the village to destroy it, and he's the one who essentially led to the events of his and Kushina's death on the day that Naruto was born. Like, that completely messed with him, and all of a sudden Minato wasn't as impressive as he was, you know, when he first joined the war, because he was affected mentally. And that is a part of the Naruto universe. We all know this. I think that's pretty obvious. So it is possible that Deidara was trying to mess with them mentally so they aren't able to perform to their fullest capabilities. But that's just sort of my reading of that whole moment of him saying that, my interpretation of what could be, you know, Deidara's intentions in that moment. Or maybe he really was just telling them the truth. Maybe he was just flat out admitting that, yeah, Sasori is stronger than me. And his statement that, you know, any of his bombs could destroy Sasori's puppets, technically that's true, but not if Sasori doesn't let him. You see what I mean? Like, again, I think that the thing that a lot of people forget, that you know, Sasori in that fight wasn't really being 100% serious. Like, he was basically toying with them. So you could say that now again, his statement that his bombs could destroy his puppet isn't technically wrong. It just depends on, you know, if it does come to a fight between the two, who might win. You see what I mean? Like, but then again, he did state that this is like a ranking in terms of like pure power, who's strongest and who's, you know, weakest, at least when compared to the others. I guess technically, if that's like the direction that you're going with, it would technically be true. But yeah, it's just I don't know, when it comes to the whole who's stronger, Sasori versus and Deidara, personally I would put my bets on Sasori.
Number 6, Konan. And damn, man, the Konan downplay in the Naruto community is just absolutely insane. Guys, Konan is very strong. I don't know why people always put him in like 9th place, because she would definitely beat everyone that comes before her on this list.
Well, the problem is that we don't really see much from her. That's the problem. We don't really see her do much. And the one fight she was in, I mean, really, the only reason why she was able to do so well is because the person she fought against, even himself, admitted that he was underestimating her. So again, I'm not saying that Conan's weak. It's just like we don't really see much of her, and I think that's the reason why a lot of people put her below on the list, because we don't really have a lot to go off of.
Without prep time, by the way. Konan's arsenal relies a lot on her paper jutsu, obviously. But that jutsu is actually pretty damn strong. She can produce blades and paper bombs out of thin air. She can clone herself, producing countless paper bomb clones that explode with an equal force to Deidara's explosions. She was able to tag Obito, and people are gonna say, oh, but Obito wasn't taking her seriously. Yeah, sure, yeah, of course. Sasori and Kakuzu would definitely tag Obito if Obito wasn't taking them seriously. Yeah, I can definitely see that. But that's not all. Konan can fly, and she is the best flyer of the Akatsuki. And guys, people underestimate the power of flight in the universe that most people can't fly. And you can. You just have a massive advantage in any fight that your opponent cannot fly, especially if you're a long-range fighter like Konan is. She is also virtually immune to physical attacks, because because her body just turns into paper. It's like Suigetsu turning into water when he is punched. He doesn't really feel that. And it's the same thing for Konan. She just turns into paper and is not hurt so long as she has chakra left. So essentially you have to drain her out completely before you beat her. Also, she was fighting against the entire Leaf Village when they attacked with pain.
Not necessarily. You don't have to drain her of chakra. That's not necessarily true. It just happened to be like, it just happened to be a good opportunity for Obito to you know, take advantage of. And when he saw an opportunity, he took it and he used it to take her down. That's just what happened.
Fighting the entire Aburame clan, which is one of the most underrated clans in Naruto, and she was doing just fine. And a lot of people are going to mention the Jiraiya fight against Konan, which was a very quick exchange, and people say, oh man, Jiraiya stomped her, but why? He spat some oil on Konan and that's stomping her? Because look at Konan's face here. She wasn't scared at all when she was put in that position. It wasn't as though she was, oh no, Jiraiya's gonna kill me. Now sure, she had pain backing her up, but would she have lost to a little bit of oil?
Well, I mean, technically, yeah, because that made her papers essentially useless. Because like, that was the whole point of covering her in oil. And if she did still try to move, he has Fire Cell Jutsu, which that when combined with, you know, flammable oil, that's not really going to be good for Konan. So
I don't think she would have. And then of course there is the other fight, her main fight in the series against Obito, which, as I said before, she tagged him, and it's not every character that can tag Obito. Minato could, and Konan could. You know, that may speaking something about her powers and all that. And then of course she uses her most powerful jutsu.
Hold on, I gotta disagree with that. I don't think that just because she was able to tag Obito, that that means she's like Minato level or she's even close. I don't think that's the case, dude. Like, just because you were able to both do the same thing, that doesn't mean you're on the same level. I don't agree with that.
Fight the ocean of paper bombs. And if you're telling me now, oh, that was prep time, man, doesn't matter because it's prep time. Okay, but shouldn't you include how powerful a character can be with prep time in a list talking about the power of characters? Shouldn't you include that in the equation too? You can give 13 billion years to Kakuzu and he's not gonna do anything remotely similar to what Konan did against Obito, who had to use Izanagi, which is just a cheat code in the Naruto verse to escape. Aside from Obito, the only other member of the Akatsuki that would have been able to escape that would be Deidara because he can fly. So Konan takes the 6th place, very well deserved. Number 5, Deidara. I don't think people understand how strong this guy is. And he was 19 when he died. He had much more room for growth. Deidara's basic explosions are comparable to Sakura's hard punches in the beginning of Shippuden, if not more powerful. He also had much more than that. He had essentially the C3 nuke he could use to destroy an entire village with, the blast of which was comparable to a tail beast bomb, and he was dropping that pretty casually. He can also fly, which, as I said before, is an extremely advantageous feature in a world that most people can't. And we're not even talking about his most powerful jutsus. The C2 Dragon, which can just spit very, very powerful bombs non-stop and also keep you flying away from the range of your enemies. The C4 Karura, which is a one-shot technique against anyone that doesn't fulfill 3 very specific conditions. Number 1, having lightning style to defuse the bombs. Number 2, being able to see the nano bombs coming your way. And number 3, being intelligent enough to figure out how to defuse the bombs. And of course the C0, which is a suicide technique, but I think it's very valid to put it in here because it would give at least a tie for Deidara against anyone in the Akatsuki with the exception of Obito. But his explosions are not everything Deidara has. He is also trained in countering genjutsu, which can be useful against a lot of different fighters. He is very fast, unlike Sasori, who was being tagged by Sakura. Deidara was able to dodge Hebi Sasuke multiple times, and we know that Hebi Sasuke is one of the fastest characters in the series by that point in the story. He can also mold his bombs into shapes that will favor him during the fight, like we saw against Gaara, where he used the centipede to infiltrate into Gaara's sand and explode exploded from within. His explosives can fly too. They can do all types of crazy things. And I was very tempted into putting him on 4th place. That's a very close call, but 4th place goes to this guy, Kisame. Kisame has the highest chakra reserves from anyone in the Akatsuki. He's the strongest water style user in the verse. He stomped Killer B, who was one of the most powerful.
I mean, I do think there are probably other, you know, powerful or more powerful water style users, but yeah, Kisame is definitely up there.
Characters we've seen by that point. And Kisame can essentially drain your chakra until you die and regenerate from it if he sustains any wounds. He only lost to my Guy because Guy was his natural counter. If Hirudora wasn't a physical attack, Guy would have died in that fight against a very fatigued Kisame. And that massive bubble ability Kisame has is just something.
Well, that and the fact that he, you know, ended up losing Samehada, I still posit that if that never happened, Guy would have died.
Else. Like, if you don't have a teleportation jutsu or some other hack to get out of there, you're probably gonna die. And now we're moving to the classic top 3, which I believe most people put those 3 in the top 3 because it's kind of obvious. We begin with the number 3, which is Itachi Uchiha. Now, I think there is a fair argument to make in favor of Itachi against either Pain or Obito, and I've made versus battles videos about these two fights in the past before, more in depth. So I don't think that the difference, especially between Itachi and Pain, is that great. But Itachi doesn't have as much chakra or durability, for instance. And he also doesn't have the sheer hacks that Obito has. When I compare him against Pain, I usually tend to put him in the same scenario Pain was when he invaded the Leaf Village, and I don't see Itachi doing as well as Pain did in that situation. Of course, that's because of his chakra reserves,
Yeah,
and I'm not saying Itachi has like 0 chakra.
No,
he has
no,
a decent amount of chakra. He fought Sasuke for a very long period of time, then he stomped
While
Orochimaru,
he
kept
was
on fighting
sick.
Sasuke and all that. His chakra reserves are not low like most people want to say, but they're not as high as Nagato/Pain's and also Obito's. And that's what actually holds him back. And as I'm using the version of the characters that are in the Akatsuki and not Edo versions and other things like that, I cannot really use Edo Itachi here, otherwise he'd probably be higher than that. But still, Itachi takes number 3. I don't really have to explain why Itachi is powerful. Amaterasu Tsukiyomi, his Susanoo has the Yara Mirror and the Totsuka Blade. He's also the smartest character in the Akatsuki by far. He's very fast. He was relative to KCM.
Well, I would say that maybe I would say Obito does match him when it comes to intelligence, because he was able to figure out a lot of he was able to, well, not everything, but he was able to figure out a lot of Itachi's motives and his plans. The only thing he didn't account for was Itachi implanting Amaterasu into Sasuke and essentially making it to where if he met with Obito's Sharingan, then the Amaterasu would immediately activate and, you know, kill him essentially. Unfortunately, he never figured out that his ability was, you know, calm waves, because if he knew, then he would have been able to plan for that, but obviously he didn't. So you could say that maybe like Obito's a little bit higher than him in terms of intelligence, because he was able to keep that part hidden from him.
One Naruto. So all in all, Itachi is extremely powerful, and I think there is an argument to make for Itachi against Obito and Pain. Link in the description if you're interested. Number 2, Pain / Nagato, but the Pain version is the more accurate Akatsuki version because that's what Nagato uses when he's in the Akatsuki. Pain has very powerful abilities, and also he has 6 different bodies, which makes fighting against him pretty complicated. The catastrophic Shinra Tensei and Chibaku Tensei are very broken abilities that hit extremely hard. He also has ninjutsu absorption. His summonings are very strong. That dog summon could solo Kakuzu without much problem. The Asura path can hit pretty hard too. He can extract people's souls and resurrect the other paths of pain. He's a very powerful guy. It's not by chance that he is the leader of the Akatsuki. Well, the quote-unquote leader, because we all know the things that went on behind the scenes, the manipulation, all that kind of stuff. He beat Sage Mode Naruto after fighting.
I've talked about this so many times at this point. Yeah, like essentially Pain won that fight against Sage Mode Naruto. But yeah, you don't need me repeating that again.
Entire village for quite some time, and powerful shinobis at that. He fought Kakashi and killed him. He destroyed the entire village with that Shinra Tensei, and he still had gas to fight against Sage Mode Naruto and beat him. It was only because the Kyuubi came in and fought against Pain. He wouldn't have won that fight. And for number 1, we have Obito, which is here essentially because of Hack's abilities and all that. And it's not very fair to the other members.
Well, I wouldn't just say it's hacks. I would also say that it's you know, he himself is pretty damn powerful. Like, he's no joke. I mean, keep in mind, again, probably the biggest bit of evidence is Minato when he was talking to Naruto in, you know, his like mind palace thing that they always go to whenever he's talking to Kurama or anyone else. He did say that, you know, he did say that when he was talking to Naruto that you know, pain isn't even the thing that you need to worry about when it comes to the Akatsuki. He says it's actually the man in the mask. And keep in mind, this is the Obito that fought him back when Naruto was born. So at that point it would have been like 15 years ago, because it was before he turned 16 in the Fourth Shinobi War. So that was like 15 years ago when he was born. When Naruto was born, the day he fought Obito, that's the Obito he was talking about. And he was paying attention to the fight against Pain, that, you know, because he was watching. And yet he still said that no, Obito is the one you need to watch out for. So that suggests to us a couple of things. Either Minato's been somehow keeping up with Obito's progression throughout the 15 years that he's been dead, or he's still comparing Pain to Obito and says that no, like Obito even from 15 years ago was still stronger than Pain currently. And 15 years later, obviously he would only get stronger. So I think that that's kind of like the only bit of proof you really need about Obito being stronger than Pain.
The Akatsuki, because Kamui is exceptionally broken. Being able to phase through things and absorb things into the Kamui dimension is something that kind of negates most of the abilities in the verse. Obito is also very good at genjutsu, and I have to assume countering genjutsu as well. He was able to put a perfect jinchuriki under a genjutsu, something that should be impossible, but apparently he can. I am not the biggest Obito fan. Well, actually, I like Obito when he still has his mask. I have to put him in here. Out of all of the Akatsuki characters, the only one I can see maybe having a chance of beating Obito, and it's not a guarantee whatsoever, that one would be Itachi. All the others would just absolutely get bodied by Obito. Even Pain even more so, because his most powerful jutsus wouldn't work against Obito, and Obito would be able to absorb each Pain into the Kamui dimension until none is left. Of course, that wouldn't really solve the problem, because he would still have to go after Nagato to actually win the fight. Obito is more capable of fighting against more powerful people than any other Akatsuki member. And I'm talking about Orange Mask Obito here, which is his Akatsuki version. If we were talking about White Mask Obito or Jubito, that would be even worse for the Akatsuki. Obito is more powerful than the rest, but he is still somewhat relative to the rest of the Akatsuki. It's not as though Obito is a god. We see that there are ways to fight him. Konan almost killed him. So it's not as if this guy is invincible. He himself thinks that if Itachi knew all of his secrets, somehow he could have killed Obito even after he was dead and all that stuff. Let me know in the comments what you think about my ranking of the Akatsuki, and I know this is the only correct ranking. If you disagree with me, you are incorrect. Subscribe to this channel and like this video to help me out. Thanks.
All right, so that's the video. So yeah, I mean, look, when it comes to the top 3, I don't think anyone really disagrees. I mean, Obito, Pain, Itachi are definitely the strongest members of the Akatsuki. And again, in my opinion, Obito is absolutely the strongest. Orange Mask Obito, White Mask Obito, Jinchuriki Obito, definitely stronger than all of them. But if we're just talking about Orange Mask Obito, I would still say, yeah, he is definitely stronger. Again, the Konan thing, I mean, I still think that the only reason why it happened is because he was caught off guard. in my opinion, doesn't really count. Now, again, I don't think that means that, you know, Konan wouldn't have been able to put up a good fight against him. I mean, she did. But how would she have done against him if he had actually taken the fight seriously from the beginning? I don't think she would have done as well against him, even if she knew his abilities. But that being said, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, all those fun things that help videos out with the YouTube algorithm. And hopefully you watch the video all the way to the end, because that also helps out a video with the algorithm. So with that being said, as always, I do have to let you know that if you have any recommendations, if there's any video out there you want me to watch and react to, give my thoughts on, just let me know about them in the comment section down below, and I will eventually get to them. So bye for now.